It was supposed to be an ordinary night of late-night entertainment, another lively episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live, where the mix of humor, celebrity charm, and topical banter kept audiences laughing and coming back for more. The guest for the evening was Cher, the living legend, the icon whose career had spanned decades and defied every attempt at categorization. The studio audience, electric with anticipation, erupted into cheers as she walked onto the stage in a sleek black outfit that shimmered under the lights, her presence as commanding as ever. Jimmy greeted her warmly, with the easy charm that had made him a household name. From the outset, it seemed the interview would be the kind of engaging, slightly cheeky conversation that late-night television thrived on. But beneath the polite smiles and playful quips, an unexpected tension began to take shape. Unnoticed at first, but growing with each passing moment, Jimmy began with questions about Cher's latest projects. A new album, a rumored tour, her advocacy on behalf of various causes. Cher answered with her usual mix of wit and wisdom, sprinkling her responses with sharp humor that delighted the crowd. She spoke passionately about her music, her creative process, and the joy she still found in performing. The energy in the room was buoyant, the exchange lively and fun. But as Jimmy steered the conversation toward more personal and political topics, something that often made his interviews stand out, the mood subtly shifted. He brought up Cher's outspoken views on certain controversial issues, mentioning some of her recent statements on social media that had stirred both praise and backlash. His tone was curious rather than confrontational, but the line of questioning seemed to strike a nerve. Cher's responses became sharper, more pointed. She defended her words fiercely, explaining the depth of her convictions and her frustration at what she described as a culture increasingly hostile to truth-telling. The audience, sensing the change in tone, grew quieter, listening intently. As the dialogue took on a weightier feel, Jimmy, perhaps emboldened by the seriousness of the exchange or caught up in the intensity of the moment, pushed further. He asked whether Cher ever worried that her bluntness, though admirable, might alienate some of her fans, or whether there was room in today's heated climate for more nuance and dialogue. Cher bristled at the suggestion, her voice rising as she spoke about the dangers of silence, the need to call out injustice clearly and without compromise. Her eyes flashed with the passion that had fueled her work on and off the stage for decades. The tension escalated rapidly. What had begun as a spirited discussion soon morphed into a full-blown verbal clash. Cher, unwilling to back down, doubled down on her views, her words stumbling out faster, her tone more urgent. She accused elements of the media, including late-night shows, of sometimes prioritizing entertainment over truth, of softening hard realities for the sake of ratings. Jimmy, trying to maintain control of his show but also unwilling to let the moment slip away, argued back that comedy and conversation could coexist, that humor was often a bridge in divisive times. The back and forth grew sharper, their voices overlapping, the audience watching in stunned silence, unsure whether to cheer the honesty or cringe at the discomfort playing out before them. Cher leaned forward in her chair, her hands gesturing emphatically, her words cutting through the tension like a blade. She spoke of her fears for the future, of her anger at those she felt were failing to stand up for what was right, and of her unwillingness to play nice when the stakes were so high. Jimmy tried to steer the conversation back toward common ground, to inject a bit of levity, but the moment had passed. The studio felt charged, heavy with the weight of two strong-willed personalities colliding on live television. Every attempt to pivot to lighter subjects fell flat, as the intensity of the argument had consumed the space where jokes and easy banter might otherwise thrive. The breaking point came when Cher, exasperated and fiery, accused Jimmy of diminishing the seriousness of the issues she was raising. She insisted that there was no room for middle ground when it came to certain moral imperatives, no space for polite disagreement on matters of fundamental human rights. Her words hung in the air, powerful and raw, as the audience sat riveted. Jimmy, taken aback but trying to salvage the moment, responded that while he respected her passion, His show was a space meant for dialogue, not diatribe. The remark landed poorly, the tension now palpable enough to be felt by everyone in the room. Cher's expression hardened, her legendary poise giving way to visible frustration. In a dramatic move that no one saw coming, Cher rose from her chair, her posture proud and unyielding. The room fell silent, the cameras capturing every second as she declared that she would not be part of a conversation that she felt trivialized the causes she held dear. The words were not shouted, but they carried the force of a storm. The production team, stunned, exchanged frantic glances, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let the moment unfold. Jimmy, momentarily speechless, watched as Cher turned from the stage and began walking off, the echoes of her heels the only sound in the suddenly hushed studio. As she disappeared behind the curtains, the audience broke into a mix of applause and murmurs, some admiring her conviction, others shaken by the unexpected drama. Jimmy, ever the professional, tried to recover, offering a quick comment about the passion that drives meaningful conversations before throwing to a commercial break. When the show returned, the mood had changed entirely. The usual light-hearted rhythm was gone, replaced by an air of introspection. Jimmy addressed the incident with candor, acknowledging the power of passionate disagreement and expressing his hope that viewers would see beyond the clash to the substance of what had been said. Clips of the fiery exchange flooded social media before the episode had even finished airing. Opinions flew fast and furious, some hailing Cher as a hero of truth, a figure unwilling to compromise, others praising Jimmy for his composure under pressure and his commitment to open dialogue. News outlets dissected the moment, pundits weighing in on what it meant for celebrity activism, for late-night television, for the culture at large. The encounter became a flashpoint in the ongoing debate about how we talk to one another in turbulent times, about the balance between entertainment and engagement, between humor and seriousness. In the days that followed, both Cher and Jimmy addressed the incident further. Cher, in interviews and social media posts, stood by her decision to walk off, explaining that she had reached her limit and felt compelled to act in accordance with her beliefs. Jimmy, too, reflected on the encounter, speaking of his respect for Cher and his hope that viewers would continue to tune in not just for laughs, but for the chance to witness honest, sometimes uncomfortable conversations. The moment became part of the cultural conversation, a symbol of the passion and division that marked the era. Behind the scenes, those who had been in the studio that night spoke of the electricity in the air, of the sense that they had witnessed something unscripted, unguarded, real. The production team reviewed the footage repeatedly, some shaken by the raw emotion, others quietly proud that their platform had hosted such an exchange. The clash became part of late-night lore, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of live television and of the high stakes that come with giving voice to deeply held beliefs on a public stage. And as time went on, the incident faded from the headlines but not from memory. It served as a reminder of the challenges of dialogue in a divided world, of the difficulty of balancing passion with patience, conviction with compassion. Both Cher and Jimmy continued on with their work, their legacies untouched, their mutual respect intact despite the heat of the moment. And for viewers, the night Cher walked off Jimmy Kimmel Live remained a powerful example of what can happen when two strong voices meet, and neither is willing to back down. If you want, I can expand this further, write it as dialogue, or focus more on the audience reaction. Let me know.